Megalodon. There are few extinct animals quite as popular as the Todus megalodon, and these things are big, being a length of 10.2 meters or 33.5 feet to 17.9 meters or 58.7 feet long. But some estimates go up to 20.3 meters or 67 feet long. They lived 23 to 3.6 million years ago, a little after the dinosaurs went extinct. With them being as big as they were, it's no surprise that they hunted literal whales, along with big fish and other sharks. Its main aquatic rival was the giant whale, the Leviathan melvillei. Studies suggest that the megalodon was possibly killed off by shifting food chain dynamics and climate change. The megalodon would need lots of food to sustain itself, but with its food going away because of things like great white sharks, the megalodon would slowly but surely starve to death. The megalodon had thick and serrated teeth with a big bite force of up to 108,500 to 182,200 newtons. For comparison, a lion only had a bite force of 1,768 newtons. They preferred warm waters, but with the onset of the ice ages and lowering of sea levels, it must have contributed to their deaths. Some people claim that the megalodon is still alive, just hiding in the Mariana Trench. Now, I'm not a marine biologist, but a warm water animal that needs lots of food is not going to go to freezing depths with no food. Finally, the megalodon is one of my favourite extinct animals, but I have to move on to the next. Helicoprion. The Helicoprion besanawi, or its nickname, the buzzsaw shark, is a terrifying fish, but a very interesting one too. It's called the buzzsaw shark because of its teeth being arranged in these spirally clusters called tooth whorls. Scientists didn't know what orientation the tooth whorls were at first and had many guesses. The conclusion now seems to be that they were in the lower jaw and would have been used to push prey into the mouth of the Helicoprion. It's thought that they would have been used to deshell hard-bodied cephalopods like nautilids and ammonids. The Helicoprion went extinct around 225 million years ago. The Helicoprion's closest living relative are chimeras, but they're still very distant. They're also giant, being a little bigger than the great white shark. The Helicoprion besanawi was first discovered in 1899 by Alexander Karpinski. At first it was thought that there was something else entirely, but was later found out to be the Helicoprion. The Helicoprion are also not technically sharks. They're in the terrifying word to pronounce, Eugeniodontida order. Moving on from what they were to where they were, this species was found worldwide in places like Russia, Western Australia, China, Kazakhstan, and lots of other countries. They lived for around 20 million years. Because I don't want this script to be taller than me, I need to move on. Ankylosaurus, another famous animal. Ankylosaurus magniventris was a quadrupedal armored dinosaur from western North America from 68 to 66 million years ago at the end of the Cretaceous period. Ankylosaurus is thought to be 6 to 8 meters long with that huge tail club. It's covered in big armored plates that covered the neck, back and tail. Ankylosaurus lived alongside other famous dinosaurs such as Tyrannosaurus, and Triceratops. Ankylosaurus magniventris was found in Hell Creek by Peter Kaizen and identified by Barnum Brown in 1908. It had 4 horns at the side of its head and was also a little rare in its environment. 2 years later, from the first expedition, Barnum Brown led another expedition and found another specimen of Ankylosaurus. This one was found in the Scollard Formation, near to the Red Deer River, running down in Canada. And for the first time, they found the large tail club of Ankylosaurus, along with some other complete bones, like ribs, vertebrae, and some other stuff. The dinosaur was herbivorous, but keep in mind, this didn't mean they were friendly. Those tail clubs weren't just for show. You'd need a good defense when living alongside what were possibly the world's biggest carnivorous theropods, like the T-Rex. And like I said about the last script, I need to move on. Argentavis. Argentavis magnificens is one of, if not the biggest flying bird to have ever existed, although this is debated by the Pelagornis sandersi, as it's estimated that the Pelagornis had a wingspan 20% longer than that of the Argentavis wingspan. Also off topic, but these birds to me at least have some of the coolest names a bird can have. The Argentavis magnificens is from the late Miocene, from 9 million years ago to 6.8 million years ago. This giant was discovered by the two paleontologists Kenneth Campbell and Eduardo Toni in 1980. They also come from the now extinct family of Teratornithidae, which are giant North and South American mouthfuls. Anyway, to the next species, Dimetrodon. Now if you saw this, and I asked you, who do you think it's more related to between you and Spinosaurus, who do you think you'd say? Well, it's you. Dimetrodon limbbatus isn't even a dinosaur. They're more closely related to mammals as they belong to the closest sister family to the direct ancestors of mammals. They lived during the early Permian period, around 295 to 272 million years ago. They were also discovered to be 1.7 to 4.6 meters long, or 5.6 to 15.1 feet long. Dimetrodon limbbatus was first discovered by Edward Drinker Cope in 1877. Dimetrodon was probably an apex predator during its time, feeding on fish and reptiles, although smaller types of species of Dimetrodon might have had different roles in their ecosystems. It's very possible that their large sail was used the same way a peacock uses its tail feathers, showing off to mates and threatening enemies. This quadruped has been found in the southern western United States, along with some recent ones in Germany. Another fact about it is that its name meant 2 measures of teeth. Megatherium. Finally, our very last species, the Megatherium americanum, which were giant ground sloths. This specific species were from South America, and they were quite recent as far as extinct animals go. They lived from 5 million years ago to around 10,000 years ago. The early Pliocene to early Holocene. For context on how recent this was, we're still in the Holocene, but they were still discovered a couple thousand years before you or I were born. The first specimen was discovered in northern Argentina. It was then shipped to Spain. It was studied by a French paleontologist called Georges Cuvier, to which he said that this was a sloth, and he was correct, despite how not sloth-like it looks. Evolution is weird. The Megatherium fed on tree twigs and shrubs like the African black rhino, using a weird upper lip. They could also stand on 2 legs, which is pretty impressive with how big they are. They started to die out during the end of the Pliocene extinction event, and they died out when humans first arrived in the Americas, so yet again it's possible that humans helped end another species. They may have used their claws for getting leaves and defense, a little like the Therizinosaurus from my last extinct animal video. And finally, I think that ends the video. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.